It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil. Episode 180, even though our show notes say 185. Episode 180, September 25th. Shelley, you need a wine bell. Happy Friday, Shelley. It's wine time.
We'll explain that later. Okay.
We are in part one of our trip to Paso Robles. And by the way, we're at Tablas Creek, but we've been doing some research. We have Lisa Rainey with us. And Lisa, we've done some research, and one of the things we heard is the correct mispronunciation of Tablas Creek, because it was supposed to be, that's right, Paso Robles, but it's now just called Paso Robles. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a very long, awkward introduction to our podcast here at Tablas Creek in Paso Robles. Okay, I can tell I'm going to be sipping today.
El Paso de Robles was where the name came from.
Yeah. And
City of Oaks.
City of Oaks, that's right. So we have 6 different wines we're going to taste through. And we're going to taste some whites and a rosé, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to get into some reds. I believe a bonus, Shelley, is a Tannat at the very end.
Our
Very favorite.
Oh,
So,
great.
Lisa, let's do this. Tell us a little bit about you and Tablas Creek, and then we'll start tasting through some of these when we talk about them. Does that sound good?
All right.
Okay, beautiful.
So my husband and I have been wine club members at Tablas Creek for the past 10 years. And in September of 20, I decided that I wanted to come out of retirement and start pouring wine. And Tablas Creek was looking for folks to do that. And I thought, what a better place than a place that I was truly passionate about the wine and had a little bit of experience drinking the wine.
It's the best way to talk about
Yes.
it, when you have that experience.
Yes. So Tablas Creek is a partnership between 2 families, an American family and a French family. The American family is the Haas family. Robert Haas was our American founder. And the French family are the Perrins. And the Perrins own Chateau Beaucastel, which is in the Châteauneuf-du-Pape region of the Rhone Valley. And the 2 families became acquainted with one another in the 70s when Robert started to import wines from Beaucastel. And at that time, Jacques Perrin was running Beaucastel. And Robert convinced Jacques to let 2 of his sons travel to the United States with him to help promote wines from Châteauneuf-du-Pape as well as from the Côtes de Rhone. And any time your travels would lead them to California, they would go wine tasting.
As one will.
Yes, one in Rome, right?
Should. As one
Yes,
should.
as one should. And in the 70s, when they were wine tasting, they noticed that at that time there wasn't anyone that was focusing on growing and selling a full portfolio of growing wines. So it was actually back in the 70s that they first started really thinking about starting a Rhone-centric winery. So in 1985, they legally formed a partnership, and in 1987 started to look for land where they could start a winery. And they looked all up and down the coast of California, but there were 3 things that were really driving the decision as to where they wanted to start a winery. And the first is they wanted to find an area that would get enough rainfall so that they could dry farm. So they wanted to grow fruit without the use of any supplemental irrigation. So we get about 25 inches of annual rainfall here, which is enough to support dry farm vines.
And do you guys have a winery dog?
We do. We have several winery dogs, actually.
Vineyard dogs?
Yes. We're very dog friendly here. Most everyone that works in the cellar has a dog, and they get to come to work with them.
What dog is staring at us right
I
now?
think that is, I don't remember her name.
Oh, that's all right. A little cutie.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. So we currently over. What do you want? You want
Good
She
deal.
wants the door open so she can get out.
You can't open it.
Okay, pup. There you go. There you go, puppy. You can go around. You can go. Just make that guy stop talking to me.
So currently over 40% of our production comes from dry farm vines. And then about 10 years ago, we purchased a 35-acre parcel that we call Jewel Ridge. That sat fallow for 6 years. And we planted it at our first harvest last year. But when that comes into full production, over 50% of our production will come from dry farm vines. So the second thing they were looking for was a similar Mediterranean climate. We do have a full-time vineyard crew. We do hand harvest our fruit. That process normally starts in August, and we don't typically wrap up until sometime in October. So they needed to find an area that would be free of frost until at least early November.
So when they looked at this area, someone said, I think it's the people who came over from
Bocastel.
Yeah, said, and I'll never get that right, by the way. So whenever I say and you'll say, and that's perfect.
Okay, good.
They said this reminds us of the Rhone Valley.
Yes.
Right? And so, thus, these wines,
Yes.
the varietals that are Rhone varietal. I think that's fantastic. You have said dry farming 2 or 3 times right now. I think it'd be apropos, while we taste through the very first wine, to have you explain our, CDA Gourmet wine word of the week, which is dry farming.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That is our wine words actually of the week. But
Okay.
We'll taste through a little of this Marsanne. I believe
Yes,
it's the first
the
one.
Marsanne
And
is
then
the
you can.
first wine that
Yep.
we're going to
So
be
this is
tasting.
a 2022 Marsanne Tablas Creek out of Paso Robles from the Adelaida district of Paso.
Yes.
Yes.
Estate grown, 100% estate grown here. So with dry farming, as I mentioned, we just rely on the annual rainfall that we get. And actually, the reason at Tablas Creek we can so successfully dry farm is because we have a lot of calcareous limestone in our
Yes.
soil, which was the third thing the Haas and Prinz were looking for. So even in years where we don't get a lot of rainfall, the rainfall that we do get stays here because of that, the limestone. So it's really absorbent, and it'll allow the root structures to extract the moisture. So it's interesting to note, when you first pulled into our parking lot, there was a block of dry farms from the veg vines. One of the biggest benefits of dry farming is the root structures that those vines develop.
You have to really go down to look for that water.
Those vines over there that you looked at, their root structures probably go 30 feet down into the ground, and they go just straight down.
Wow.
And often guests will ask me how long a vine will live. And my answer is always, it depends on how it's farmed. Dry farmed vines will probably outlive all of us here.
Yeah, just because they're
so
resiliency, right?
resilient.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
And
fantastic.
It
Love that.
also is stressful to the vines. Vines love stress.
It's like
So
our
is
kids
that.
need discipline.
Right.
Vines need
They
stress.
stress.
And that's really counterintuitive.
It is.
Right? It's like, why don't we give them all the water they need so they can grow this great fruit? Yeah, you
Yes.
get a lot of fruit, but it's not going to have the nuances right? When those roots go way down and that vine has earned the right of the berries and fruit that come out.
It's interesting. Jason Haas, who now runs our daily operations, Robert Haas passed away in 2018, but his son Jason still runs the daily operations. And anytime he's entertaining the group, I always listen in to see if I can hear something that I might garner that I could share. And I heard him addressing the group, and his comment was, so first of all, irrigated vines, their root systems probably go 5 or 6 feet down in the ground.
Yeah.
And his comment was, you could go really anywhere in Paso Robles. And if you go down in the soil 5 or 6 feet, the soil is soil. It's pretty much the same everywhere. But when you go down 30 feet, that's when things get interesting.
There is your terroir.
Correct.
Again, back to nuances,
Back to
right?
nuances,
Because
absolutely.
you're going to have your micro climates and micro terroir and
And there's a lot of microclimates in Paso Robles.
Yeah.
Yes. In
Yeah.
fact, this map shows you the 11 different American viticultural areas, or AVAs, that make up Paso Robles. And to your point, each is really known for something unique and distinct. We're here in the Adelaida district, Tablas Creek is, and what we're really known for is our soil here, that calcareous limestone in our soil.
So Jason really spearheaded. He kind of took it home, the whole getting those 11 AVAs, because there was they wanted to just have two, like east and west.
Why would
Paso.
we get 11? We could just put it down.
Yeah, it's like that looks good, but that it seems like it would create a whole lot of animosity and competition. Competition in and of itself isn't bad, but as long as you all are working together to raise that, right? Knowing this story reminds me so much. I told Shelley this in the car, of the Robert Mandave story. Everyone was like, no, these are our notes down there. And he said, no, we will share. We're all competitors, but if one succeeds, we all succeed.
Correct.
And that whole idea and mindset. And that's what struck me in doing the research, which we did more for this stop than probably any of the others, because we had some time in the car. But that it's really a community thing. Yeah, we all have our own wineries, but we're sharing some things, which was, it's not easy for people to do that when it's so competitive. It's a very competitive industry.
Well, and one of the first things they did in terms of that sharing was, once they found this property in 1989, they started doing some plantings, primarily Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre, but then at that same time started a process of importing cuttings directly from Beaucastel to plant. And we did that in 2 phases. And the initial group of vines that we imported, we brought in 7 Chateauneuf de Paperon varietals, in addition to Viognier and Marsanne,
Nice.
the varietal that you're tasting right now.
100%.
100%. So these vines went to Cornell University for quarantine, and the next group went to UC Davis. We're really proud at Tablas Creek of the fact that we took our vines through the quarantine process.
Yeah.
Vineyards have sidestepped that process because it takes a minimum of 3 years to get vines through the quarantine process. So there was actually a commercial nursery here on site.
Oh, it's not
Here
here.
the vineyard was getting started.
Okay.
So the initial Beaucastel clones were planted in 94, and then the first harvest in 97. So now, though, the Tablas Creek clones are available at a nursery called Nova Vines up there.
So what's interesting is that we have a wine cellar, Liberty Lake wine cellar, and they get their grapes from Washington. They're barely in Washington, the coast of Idaho. They have one of the clones.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tablas
it's a
Creek
Syrah.
Syrah clone. It's
Yeah.
very cool, and I was like, I know that clone.
yes.
So we're actually going to have Mark and Sarah on
Yeah.
November 3rd. I think it's episode 185. That is 185. And so it's funny how things come around.
Yes.
They're using one of your clones to make wines up there,
Mhm.
which is fantastic. We can talk with them how they went through that process.
Of getting them.
And here we are at the source of those
Yes.
cuttings, which I love. In fact, there was a time when you had some tough years where you weren't making enough wine to supply this tasting room that we're sitting in.
Or the distributors weren't getting it.
Yeah.
Or that's, I guess, you could only do the tasting room in your wine club and not the distributors and the
And you
restaurants.
want to keep the distributors happy.
Yes, so you had to buy back some of your clones just the
Well,
The
so in
juice, I guess,
fact,
like that, yeah.
a great introduction to our second wine here.
okay.
So this is our Lignée de Tablas Grenache Blanc.
Ooh.
So this is the first, we just released this beginning of August. This is a brand new line for us, this Lignée de Tablas
Okay.
Grenache Blanc. So historically, we've only ever made 3 wines that were non-estate, and those are our Patelin de Tablas wines. We do a Patelin de Tablas Blanc, which is Grenache Blanc based. We do a Patelin de Tablas Rosé, which is Grenache based, and we do a Patelin Red, which is Syrah based. Patelin is French slang for neighborhood. And we purchase the fruit for our Patelin wines from other wineries in Paso Robles.
That we're using your clone.
Well, some do, some don't, but not yet. Some they may or may not, but they're Paso Robles wineries. Now the Lignée de Tablas, this is sourced from a single vineyard. Lignée is lineage, and the vineyard that we source that fruit from, it's 100% Tablas Creek clones. So very close to being a Tablas Creek wine, just not grown here. And this one is actually the Lignée, comes from a farm over here in the Creston area. Windfall Farms.
Shelley,
Yeah.
this may be the only time in the entire episode that we toast, since now you have a glass of drink.
Okay.
So, excuse us,
Mhm.
but to health, wealth, and abundance, gratitude, romance, and
Peace on earth.
Cheers.
there we go. You can say it for myself.
So one thing we should tell our audience is what varietals are Rhones.
Thank you. Can we
So what are the Rhone
deviate a little
varietals?
bit on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Châteauneuf de Pop Rhone varietals are Mourvedre, Syrah, Grenache, Cunoise, Roussanne, Grenache Blanc, Picot Blanc,
Pickle.
Terrine Noir,
These are
Vaccarez, Cinsault, Muscardin, Clair Blanc, Picardin, and Beau Blanc.
Nice.
So, and actually in Châteauneuf de Pop, they only consider 13 varietals. We call it 14. They don't differentiate between Grenache and Grenache Blanc.
Ah, got
So
it. Okay.
Tablas
Yeah.
Creek was actually responsible for getting Grenache Blanc recognized as a varietal.
Interesting.
And it's also interesting to note, so Viognier and Marsanne are Rhone varietals. Where Châteauneuf de Pop is located, actually 70%, or where Beaucastel is located, 70% of the estate is in Châteauneuf de Pop and 30% is in Côtes de Rhone. So they can grow Marsanne and Viognier in that northernmost part of their estate.
Got it.
Because they're very regulated as to what they can grow.
I did show the bottle up on the camera, but this is a 2022. Can you say that again?
Lignée de
Lignée
Tablas
de
Grenache
Tablas.
Blanc.
Yes. Oh, by the way, the Marsanne, and correct me if I'm wrong. I did this way late last night when I finished these notes. $40 at the winery. The Marsanne is, I think, what I saw on the on your
That is correct.
website. And
Yes.
then the Lignée de Tablas Grenache Blanc, $40 also.
35.
35.
That was 35.
Okay. I'm gonna borrow your pen again.
That's okay.
$35.
And those are our retail prices, and then
Sure.
our wine club members get a 20% discount.
Yeah, that's
a big discount.
yeah, and that's really, again, we talk a lot about becoming wine club members to
And the
wineries,
advantages.
to wineries and bottle shops, wine bars as well. Wineries are getting that product, right, what they produce, but you're sometimes getting some library wines, you're getting some special VIP parties, some discounts, as you say. The wine bar and bottle shops, you're getting you're getting all sorts of wine from all around the world in essence. So it's
Right.
a nice balance, right?
Yes.
You don't want to pigeonhole yourself, but if you like a wine, first of all, you would love these wines. These are very, very good. This would be, and to Lisa's point, they moved here, they visited here. These are pretty good wines. Let's go ahead and become a wine club member. Oh my gosh, they're going to pay me to talk about and drink their wine.
Right, exactly.
Lisa's life doesn't suck.
No. And I think with our wine club, we do our Vin Cider Wine Club, which is the 20% discount.
Yeah.
We do 2 shipments to our wine club members a year, 6 bottles in the spring, 6 bottles in the fall.
Yeah.
So that's really easy.
Can I just say something about this Grenache Blanc?
Absolutely.
I think the Marsanne, okay, first glass of wine of the day. We are recording this at 10 in the morning, by the way, which is not for the weak. Just know.
But there are other people tasting.
Yes, we're not the only ones here. We
We're the
weren't the
ones.
first ones to drive in either. But this Grenache Blanc, I am getting this terroir in this glass. I'm sure it was in that first glass of Marsanne I just was acclimated. But this, I'm getting the wine and minerals. Are you getting that?
Yeah, pretty good.
Should we move on?
Yes. So the next wine that we're going to be tasting, this is our Patelin de Tablas Rosé. So as I mentioned, this is non-estate. What's really interesting though, we do list on the label, you might want to show this to the guests as well. We list on the side where we did source the fruit. So this one is Grenache based. It's Grenache, Mourvedre, Quinoise, and a little bit of Vermentino this year for the first time. So this rosé is done direct press method. So about 90% of the fruit is pressed off the skins as soon as it arrives at the winery, and then the other 10% at the end of the day. So that's why in the glass especially, it's so light and pale in color.
Yes.
It's very, very minimal skin color.
2022 Patelin de Tablas Rosé.
And this retails for $28. All of our Patelin de Tablas wines retail for $28. And something interesting, a new format that we started a year ago with our Patelin wines is we are doing those in a box format. So I mentioned at the beginning, brought you the water canteens.
Yes.
By the way, with eliminating plastic waste.
They provide this for anybody who, and it's a good idea to drink water while you're tasting, stay hydrated. And then these are for purchase, $6 a piece,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But you don't have to pay for it.
But you don't have, no, this is complimentary to use
while you're
because
here.
we're going green.
Yes.
And everyone should be considering doing that whenever you can, right?
Right.
Recycle, compost, go green like this. So
the box wines, what's interesting about that is it's the equivalent of 4 bottles of our Patelin de Tablas. So 4 bottles of Patelin de Tablas would retail for $112. Our box retails for $95.
yeah,
And all that is packaging savings.
packaging savings. You don't have to. You have 4 bottles. So this rosé is one of those that come in like that.
Yes.
Okay, so
we released it in February. It is sold out, but we have our Patelin Red available.
But my point is, for this rosé, you stick it in the fridge, right? And you're ready for it. What are you feeling like? Can I have a little rosé? Do we have an open bottle? No, but we have the box that we opened 3.5 weeks ago.
Right.
That is perfectly
Still-
fine. We had last night a Lindsay Creek from Idaho, Chardonnay, but they have a Riesling that they do in a bag. And they cut the cost considerably. And that bag we've had open for, dare we say, 3 months.
Close, yeah.
And it's still
But there's no
delivers.
air
There's no air
Right.
getting in.
Absolutely.
And so I think sometimes we should consider the romance of a cork and opening of the bottle is great. It really is. There's nothing like it. But we don't have to do that on all of the wine that we drink.
Right.
Let's be considerate of our world and our pocketbook.
Another nice benefit I noticed of box wine, if you're doing a braise or something, you're doing a recipe that needs half a cup white wine.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you don't
just
want
go
to use
get it out of my box.
Yeah, you don't want to use crap wine.
No.
So just stop using crap
Right.
wine when you cook, right?
Right. Absolutely. And then you notice our these 2 wines do have the twist enclosure.
Yep. So
Some
the
of our
first one,
wines-
Marsanne, had the
And
cork.
the cork, and the those 2, the twist.
It's so like Australia, 98% of the wines out of Australia are twist caps. Okay, and now there's kind of a few of them coming back with some corks, whatever.
And they do a lot of box format
Yeah.
as well.
So, Shelley, first of all of these are phenomenal. This thing is still on my tongue. It's just like got this little buzz going back there. I love it. This is a blended rosé. Yeah, and so we're gonna take a quick break because I'm trying to honor Lisa's time. Shelley's always on me.
Okay.
All
All right,
so,
and I'll go get more wines.
take a quick break. We'll be
Okay.
right back. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and Lisa Rainey from Tablas Creek Winery down here in Paso Robles. We have just tasted through a Marsanne, a Lignée de Tablas Blanc, Grenache Blanc. You know, the stuff that I stumble over, I did fine. It was the Grenache Blanc. I fell on my face. And the Patelin de Tablas Rosé, which is basically a rosé blend. It's fantastic. It's super light and very dry and very delicious. We're going to move on to reds, starting with the Côtes de Tablas.
Yes. So this is a Grenache-based blend. We also do a Côte Blanc, which is always Viognier based.
So this is a Grenache-based blend?
Grenache-based blend.
Rumor has it, Lisa.
Our Blanc is Viognier based.
Okay.
We do a Grenache Blanc. And those two blends are our tribute to a Côte de Blanc.
So rumor has it that you are, at the very moment we are recording this, on Monday morning, you are getting Grenache in.
Yes,
now.
we are. Yes.
We saw a video of that. One of your
Ray, one of my counters.
yes,
Yeah, one of my peers.
came in and showed us and said we may want to go out and
Okay.
take a peek. So once we wrap up this, we may just do that.
Okay.
This is a live winery in action.
That's right.
picking
Middle
state
of harvest.
fruit in the middle of freaking harvest, which is one of the reasons why it's hard to get people to do these. So we're really happy that you took the time. Very, very happy. So let's get to this Grenache-based blend called Côtes de Tablas.
Yes. This one retails for $40. I love this wine. I mean, just for a day in, day out, this wine for me is a wine that I'll pull out. Wednesday night, I'm having a nice dinner. I want a nice bottle of wine, but I don't want to break the bank.
That's this
with
one
the
right
money
here,
that
correct?
I've spent. Yes, I love to pull out a Côtes de Tablas.
Oh,
The
gosh.
other thing I love is I think they're very approachable when they're young, but just a little patience in aging.
Patience.
A week ago, we opened a 2011 vintage of that, and it was dynamite.
The video's recording?
Yep, well good.
Okay, good. It looks fun.
Yep, well good.
Yeah.
Sorry if we are listening.
So how?
that's okay.
So a little patience, you said. How many years of patience?
Anytime I open one that's 4 years, 5 years old,
Yeah.
it really makes a remarkable difference.
It's built to drink now, no problem.
No problem.
Because this is in fact, if you hand me that bottle, I will.
It's our 2021.
2021 Côtes de Tablas. So the notes I got was 2012. I actually went back, and you do sell a 2012 for 105. Sorry, the 2012 was. I put these wrong on an order, but $105. So this is not the 2012. This is 2021.
And it retails for $40.
It retails for $40. But case in point, you do actually have the ability to grab some of these older library wines.
That people can purchase.
Yeah.
We have one of our level of memberships. It's called our Collectors Club. And that gives you access to our Esprit wines, which is the next wine that we're going to be tasting.
And we have the wine club levels in this booklet, right?
Correct.
So we can put that on the block? Yeah.
Yep. So when you say have a little patience, Lisa, you know as well as I do, those of us who enjoy wine
No patience.
have little patience.
Right.
Some has zero.
tell them.
Yeah.
Right.
So the little joke in our house is Shelley gives me this really nice collection of wine and says I can't open it for 10 years. It's like, thanks, honey.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Do I get a card that I can at least open now?
Right.
So this is I think very fruit forward.
Some tannin stuff. I can see where you could write this one down. Oh, wow.
It really fits the bill for me on a lot of evenings when I just feel like I want red,
But you don't want heavy.
and I don't want heavy, and I don't want to research what's the best varietal to go with what I'm serving. And I love Grenache. I love our 100% Grenache. I really lean toward Grenache-based blends.
It's one of the more fun questions that I will ask a sommelier is off the clock when you're at home. You're not working. When you open. You know
So
what?
now we know.
Well, but I mean, it's going to be something that's not going to break the bank. Something
Right.
that's easy drinking. Something you don't have to think about.
Right.
I mean, this all is fantastic, but we're kind of doing a little deep dive into a lot of these, but sometimes you want to just open a bottle and pour it and say I like it or don't.
Yeah.
It's as easy as that, you know. So this is delicious. Shelley, you're not having any more. Leave the legs on that. This has got beautiful color.
I've been leaning towards Grenache lately.
That's
I
right.
seem to go again. I like this one. Into the Zinfandel, and now the Grenache.
I've been leaning towards Malbecs lately. So it really is kind of interesting how our palate decides to have a mood.
Right.
Next one, while I finish this up, is the Esprit de
Esprit de
Tablas.
Tablas. So this is our 2020 vintage of our Esprit de Tablas. So Robert Haas, when he started Tablas Creek, he had a vision that he just wanted to create two wines. He set out to create a red blend and a white blend. And the Esprit is the blend that he set out to make. So this is our flagship wine. Our Esprit red is always Mourvedre based, and our Esprit Blanc is always Roussanne based.
Nice.
So we do release our Esprit blends in the fall. So there's always the latest release of our Esprit Blanc and our Esprit red in our fall wine club shipment. So we have just released our 2021 vintage of both the red and the white.
We are drinking the 2020.
Yes, that is correct. This one, absolutely worth aging. And in fact, just at the end of August, we had some friends visiting, and we were having the discussion, is it worth aging them? Does it really benefit? And so we had an occasion, we opened a 2009 and a 2019. The 2019 was stunning until we tasted the moon.
Right?
And the 9, it was just wow.
You know, you'll get to this. Just be patient, but you know, telling that other one, right? You're good, but
Yeah, but
there is something to be said for that. This is $70 retail at the winery.
yes. And this one,
Yeah, that is not correct.
yeah, this one's 70. And one of the things with that said, that I love them when they're aged. I love this one just right out of the gate. And I think that part of it is it's the first time that we've added Vaccaraz and Cinsault into the blend. So it's historically contained Mourvedre, Grenache, Syrah, Counoise. The Syrah and Grenache tend to flip-flop between vintages. One of the things the Corinnes still get really involved in today with our winemaking is they do help us put our red blends together each year.
They'll come over during
In
your barrel
April.
tasting and start doing
Yes.
your blending.
So they'll blind taste lots in the springtime and they score them.
Yeah.
And then each year the blends are put together based on the scores of the wines. So
Nice.
you'll notice our Esprits, our Côtes de Tablas, all of our blends are going to vary the percentages vintage to vintage, which they should.
Sure.
No two growing seasons are the same.
Which is the beauty of wine, right?
Yes.
I mean, even if you
And
go
let-
single varietal, single vineyard, single block,
Yeah,
you're gonna get the nuances of that year.
that growing season.
That's right.
The weather, the rain, the heat, it's all different every year.
So,
So this is a blend of 5.
6.
Six.
So it's
Mourvedre,
Mourvedre,
40%.
Grenache, Syrah, Counoise, Vaccaraz, and Cinsault. So Vaccaraz and Cinsault, we didn't harvest those until 2019. So they were some of the later the Chateauneuf de Popcorn varietals for us to harvest.
got it. I hear that there are some chances you get a late frost or something like that that can be hazardous to your.
And one of the reasons they settled on this location, though, is that we typically don't have any frost here until November.
Got it.
And normally we are done harvesting by November.
Got it.
So,
What am I thinking? Late frost, early frost on that one year where it went.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, we did have it last year. We had a May frost.
Oh,
Yeah, so for the 2022 growing season, we had a May frost. Yes, and that really impacted our yields.
Do you have any wind turbines?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
Okay. Nice.
Yes.
Just
so
to
we
get that
do have
circulated.
frost protection plans in place, but they're not 100%.
Sure. And it's so interesting. And Shelley and I love to work soil and garden and stuff like that. We were in an area where the growing season was, 11 weeks or something stupid.
11 weeks, maybe 2.
Something
You'd have to
super
put your
stupid.
tomatoes on wheels so
Yeah.
you can
Roll them in the garage.
garage
Yeah.
at night.
But knowing, taking trips to different areas that have wine country, right? And knowing they know exactly what that point is temperature-wise where they have to get really worried. And it's not 32 degrees, it's like 30.7 degrees, okay? Or something like that. When it hits that point, we did a garage sale, and it was really, do you remember that? And the temperature in the morning was cold, but it wasn't freezing. And then all of a sudden, it dropped below 32, and boom, everything.
Had an ice coating.
Yeah,
Really
it's
weird.
just amazing how that works.
On top of the table.
Yeah, so I know again, we talked about the resilient vines, especially those that go 30 feet down in the roots, right? They probably could take a little bit, but they're not going to take much, and certainly not sustain.
Right, and it depends on the time of year. If the
Sure.
vines are dormant,
Oh,
they
yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
They don't care.
No, but like in Walla Walla, they'll actually bury the cane for those every 7 years where you get 11 degree, 10 degrees for 6 or 7 days. That can kill the vine. So they
Okay.
bury the cane. When they don't have one of those, they just cut it off. But if they do, it saves them a couple, 3 years of fruit. Because they don't have to start all over. They just bring that up, and it started. It's,
Right.
part of the family. But anyway, this is fantastic. You want to have another sip of this before we get to our bonus? No?
I'm trying to be careful.
You are
Okay.
trying to be careful. I said I was going to be careful.
Yeah, where's the
Yes.
dump bucket?
Again,
You
I'm
have
the
all
dump
these
it.
buckets.
Well, I don't have to dump it all, Shelley. I can just keep it like that.
Okay, and then this is our Tannat. So this is 100%, this is Tannat. We have a little bit. It's not on the tasting sheet. Sorry, I thought it was listed. We do have 2 Rosé Cab in the vineyard that we have planted that typically gets blended into the Tannat.
5-10%.
Yeah, 5 to 7%. Some years the cab is so exceptional that they do bottle as a single varietal. We usually get about 50 cases when we do that. But we do label it as just 100% Tannat. So Tannat is actually not a Rhone varietal.
Southern France and
it's from the Basque region.
but there's another country right next to it.
When we imported this first group of cuttings from Mocastel, we were expecting to receive these 7 Chutney de Paperon varietals, the Marsanne and Gourmet. So we were expecting 9 different varietals, and instead of 9, 11 showed up. So they started doing some investigating, doing some research, trying to figure out why we got the extra varietals. And what they found out was that the gentleman at the greenhouse that was packaging the cuttings for the Perrin family thought that Vermentino, as well as Tannat, would grow well in Paso Robles.
Wow.
So added in
Took
those
it
extra
upon
cuttings.
himself.
Yes, to add
I
Tannat.
love that.
So Tablas Creek was responsible for introducing Tannat to the United States.
2020. Tannat. And by the way,
And this is our favorite.
and we've been pushing Paso. Hang on. Still blind.
Yep.
We have been pushing Tannat and Paso for
For years.
years. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and now we are going to
From the originators.
Yeah.
the originators. Why do I get a taste first?
I think I tasted first last one.
Lisa, we have a little business to do while Shelley's tasting that. We'll give you a voice arrest. I wanted to say something about some of the wines that we've had this week and enjoyed. the Akoya Pinot Noir, 7 cellars, Elway's Reserve Chardonnay, by the way. That was sensational. We had Elephant 7 Syrah, Bledsoe Family Winery, Elizabeth Chardonnay, maybe one of our favorite Chardonnays right now going. A little spendy at $55, but sometimes it's worth the squeeze. And Lindsay Creek Chardonnay, like we just talked about. Some things coming up. World Grenache Day on the 5th. Orange Wine Day, Shelley, that's a week from today. We have 2 orange wines we're going to be doing next week.
We do.
I think that we're so excited. Have you had an orange wine?
I have.
It's kind of this little trendy thing, right? We don't know if it's going to hold. I don't know what the difference is between that and a freaking rosé, but we'll do some research and figure out what is it. There is a difference.
So typically orange wines are made from white
So it's the
grapes, white skins. And white wines are typically pressed off the skins as soon as they arrive.
Yeah.
So it is a little similar in style in terms of it's left on the skins.
Yeah.
And so the skins give that orange hue to the wine. To me, a lot of the orange wines I've had as well, totally different mouthfeel
Yeah.
than a typical crisp white wine.
But versus rosé, which is coming off a red grape, which should have a little bit heavier mouthfeel, a little chewier maybe. That'll be interesting.
Depends how long.
Yeah.
Maybe we should
Yeah, it depends
actually.
on how long they're on the skins.
Maybe we should pull out a rosé to taste along with those orange wines. That'd be 3 wines. We could do that. It's our
It's gonna be
podcast.
very.
That's a week from today. Pinotage Day, the 14th. Austrian Sect Sparkle Shelley, if you didn't know. Day. International Mavra Day. Carignan Day is coming up the 26th. World Champagne Day. Everybody loves champagne. 27th. And International Zino Mavro Day, November 1st. Not sure if we're going to break out the Zino Mavro since we're going to have all these Paso wineries that we're going to feature. And we're going to talk about that a little bit next week on who we stopped by and saw and are featuring. We already know we're doing Tablas Creek because, you know, you're listening to this right now. And so, but we'll kind of go a little bit further into that. Again, orange wine next week. Special thanks to our sponsor today, Naked Wines and Elsum Cellars. And now I've done business. I've got the business out of the way. Do we want to wrap up at all with some fun little tidbit?
Let's just ask is the winery or the vineyards planning to plant anything different in the
Good
coming
question,
years?
yeah.
Or will they stick with what?
Little Carnier down the road.
They will,
Cafron.
Sticking with the Setnip de Pop, with the Rhone varietals.
Okay.
We do have a block that we are in the process of grafting that will have all 14 of the Setnip de Pop Rhone varietals in one location.
Oh, wow.
So that will be really stunning for guests to
Sure.
see in that.
And very educational too.
Yes.
Because you can say, there you are.
Yeah, so you
right?
can see the differences between all of the different varietals.
So Capstone is a part of the Chateau Pop?
It is not.
It is,
we
okay.
only have it planted because of our Tannat.
Right.
Because it's typically blended with
Perfect.
Tannat.
And
So our focus will remain on
And
the.
originally in Paso Robles, didn't they plant a lot of cab? People thought it might do well.
still
Yeah,
around
it's still
40%.
it's still
cab
very
plant?
widely planted, and
Yeah.
it does grow very well here.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that do plant it.
but in your case, you're gonna dance with who brung you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning, today,
It's great.
tonight, because we released this on Friday night. And you know, Shelley, Lisa brought a lot of knowledge today. What we'd like to say is a little bit of knowledge. Wine becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you for listening. When you're down in Paso, visit Tablas Creek. It's a beautiful drive. When we drove up, a little bit of mist going on, coming off the ocean. I imagine
Little
when we...
tarantula on the side of the
By the way, we were supposed to be here at 10 a.m. and we got here at 10:02 because I said, "Did you see that across the road?" She says, "No." I said, "It was a tarantula."
And you did see it.
Yeah, so we went back, took some pictures. We'll post that on our Facebook page, the Paso Tarantula. Till next week with Orange Wine. Have an awesome weekend. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you, to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.